Big news, Joe. Big news.
There is some big economic news for the area.
Yeah, big, huge. Do you want to tell them?
Sure.
Get ready, everybody. Johnson County,
DeSoto, the old sunflower munitions plant.
Okay, yeah.
Is going to be a new factory for Panasonic to make automotive electric car batteries.
Woo! How exciting is that? I'm excited.
I'm excited too. This is a big win for the area.
Oh, absolutely it is. Good jobs. We like jobs like that because, manufacturing jobs like that, those get paid. Those are good pay, right?
Yes. From what I understand, they jobs in auto manufacturing are still good middle class jobs, and this is a good thing to. We're only going to have more and more electric cars every year. It's just going that way now.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true.
As much as I love my Camaro with a V8 and love the sound of it, but it'll be a relic one day.
Well, it's nice to have options. If you want to drive an EV, here are your options. A lot more options coming out. We want those batteries. The technology enhancement in batteries over the last 10 years, 15 years has come a long ways, right?
It keeps moving forward, and
we want that
to be a place where that innovation is going to happen. And what are the numbers on it? Like 4,000 jobs with it?
4,000 jobs.
That is a big impact.
Oh yeah,
for our area. So to have this something that is going to be a bigger and bigger piece of just consumer spending, electric cars, to have that anywhere in the United States is a big thing. To have that on our shores, and then to have it so close to us, and to have it at an area. I mentioned the sunflower munitions plant. That has been an area that has had some environmental issues and has been difficult to do anything with. To finally be able to do something with it productive, instead of just have it be an environmental catastrophe just sitting there,
So what does this mean? The question is, how does this relate to real estate? What does it do to home prices? What does it do to selling home, buying home? I guess from selling home, I don't know about, I think we're kind of at housing prices have been going up and up and up. I don't know if we're at, it seems like we're at kind of a I don't want to use the word standstill, but it seems like it's cooling off a little bit. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Leveling out is a good way to put it, a plateau, because prices haven't come down much. And the projections are that they won't, in spite of the fact that interest rates are going up and inventory is going up as well.
So we need some jobs that pay well, that people in this area can get, and they can buy these houses.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jobs equal houses, so that's great for my business. I'm not going to be greedy, Brian. If I can just get like 10% of those people, just 400 home buyers. 400
home buyers. I don't think that's very much to ask at all.
10% isn't a lot of anything. So
hey, Panasonic future employees, you need to reach out to Joe, the realtor, Joe Stevenson. Yes. And you know what? DeSoto. You Johnson County very well.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of people don't know DeSoto is in Johnson County. A lot of people maybe in Lawrence and Douglas County don't know that maybe.
Yeah. It does sit in actually, it's a nice spot between the two.
Yeah. I have a friend who lives in DeSoto. Yeah. It's very nice. It's great. And there's a lot of area for opportunity for development. Yeah. Even driving out to DeSoto, if we hit K10 on the way to DeSoto before we hit, I think it's a Kill Creek or Cedar Creek, the exit there. It's a creek. The creek is in the name. I think it's Kill Creek or something.
They're both, I think those two exits are in succession.
Are they? Okay. Yeah. But on K10 heading out, I saw a big development outside Eudora. I think that's probably that's on the Douglas County line. I don't know where the county lines are drawn, but I assume that's in the Douglas County area. And you keep on going. It seems like there's more construction. There's going on there. So DeSoto looks like a pretty nice little area there.
It is. It's a little bit overlooked, but I think that's just because it's one of those places on the edge of the metro. It's on the very west portion of what I would consider the Kansas City metro area. And sometimes it takes a while for those places to gain traction. But working in Gardner for a long time, Gardner, Edgerton, DeSoto, those areas, Spring Hill to some extent, they kind of touch each other. Spring Hill's a little more off to its own, but they all kind of touch each other and are kind of similar sized communities, and they all kind of co-promote each other a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so, I've done home tours in DeSoto. I remember the first time I did an open house, I sat in an open house in DeSoto. I was surprised. I was like, oh, this is like a regular Johnson County subdivision that I didn't know was here. Shame on me. But hey, that was 10 years ago. I learned my lesson. And I don't feel that way about DeSoto now. No,
you've opened your eyes
Yeah.
driving through that portion of the area, right?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much what it means when you've got that much open area and not that big of a population, it just means you've got upside for growth. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine like what person living in Olathe 60 years ago. Before you know it, I mean, it's going to, DeSoto is going to be part of like the metro. We're not going to even think anything of it, I bet you, eventually in 60 years from now. Probably.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Or maybe 90 years old selling houses. I'm like, I remember remember that podcast when we were like, how it's its own little spot and now it's like taken over.
Yeah. Podcasts will be such a quaint retro thing by then. We'll be, I don't know, recording stuff that like, I don't know, downloads directly into your brain by then. I don't know.
That would be cool.
Yeah. We'll be telepathy casts.
Oh no, it'll be like nostalgia. It'll be retro. Like they'll want to go back to AM, FM podcasting. Yeah. Like, no, we don't do that anymore. We're back to like the radio waves. Like, wow, we're back to that now. Okay.
If there's two things you should invest in, it's real estate and AM radios.
Hey, have you seen what VHSs are going for these days on Amazon? It's like $400.
You know, that doesn't surprise me because, people our age that.
Our memories are on VHS tapes from us growing up in the 90s. Like those are all on VHS cassettes. We want to watch them.
Yeah.
Like, well, I can't find a VHS player. I have to go buy one on Amazon, like $400.
Yeah. Anybody who has like active memories of the 90s has touched a VHS and there's a little bit of nostalgia to it. You know, I don't know. It'd be like our parents buying a jukebox or something, I guess, or a rotary phone.
Yeah, right. Oh, I remember those. I had a friend who had one of those. So back to DeSoto before we get off on a nostalgia journey here.
Manufacturing electric cars.
Yeah. And okay, and this is great because I was living in Lawrence. One of the biggest kind of things I don't like about living here is if you want like a job that pays like 40, 50, 60 grand a year, let's just put a number at 55 plus, you have to commute to Kansas City and get one of those. Like if you want to work in an office around here, if you want a job that pays you 55 plus, you have to like run a fast food restaurant in Lawrence, work at the university, work at the hospital, be a business owner of some kind. The trades possession you can do that obviously easily, but they tend to either work in the trades or own the business. But if you want to work in an office or do like manufacturing, there is Berry Plastics nearby. I think the starting salaries are wages there about $15 an hour, which works out to about $30,000 a year for entry level. Yeah. And I don't know what the management. I assume management would be close to 50s in the 50s territory. Yeah. So, but if you want like the 55 territory, you have to go out there. So DeSoto, to have that kind of access to get that kind of job, that let's say like of those 4,000 jobs, I would presume, and like if Berry Plastics manufacturing is $15 kind of for starters, I can go on a guesstimate that's going to be probably with the battery, if not more.
I would think so. Yeah. I think good automotive manufacturing jobs with not much time on the job, I think you can get up into the 20s an hour pretty quickly and 30s. And you have options for overtime and relatively good benefits, which if somebody's getting your healthcare, that's as good as like 10 grand a year.
That's worth its weight in gold. Yeah. And so, and it's, so you can have people around Douglas County getting in on that. Yes. But also, people who live, Lenexa, Olathe, in that area, if they want to come, there's another manufacturing option as well there. So it's gonna, it's gonna bring us together a little bit closer, right?
It is. It'll be just another stepping stone connecting Lawrence to the Kansas City metro. Which it's getting closer and closer. I still don't know if I'd consider Lawrence like Kansas City metro, but I think like a lot of like Nielsen measures it as part of the media market, but
anyone who lives in the area, who lives in Lawrence, I don't know what the metric they're using other than like maybe a market. Like we share a lot of interests in maybe popular media or sports and all that, but in terms of how far we are from each other, like a 30 to 45 minute drive. But it feels like it's getting closer.
Yeah.
I mean, if K10 wasn't there, if our access to each other was like a 2-lane highway, that would be kind of a problem. Highway 40.
We're putting some fresh gravel down on the Oregon Trail, and no, the test I always have is if you're out of town in another city, like me, I live in Overland Park, but I still say, "Oh, I'm from Kansas City." But if you live in Lawrence, you say you're from Lawrence. You don't say you're from Kansas City.
Exactly. I'll say I'm west of Kansas City. So we have jobs coming in, means good paying jobs, and so basically we gotta, if you're looking for I would say if I'm a homeowner, either this is exciting because you have people who can afford like these home prices, or it increases that pile of money or that salary range a little bit. Where, I mean, if you want to buy like a house that's what is the average? Probably like 300 some thousand or below 300,000
in DeSoto, or Metro,
or maybe close like Lennox territory.
I think it is right around. I feel bad because I think I just saw that statistic, but I think it's like just below 300 is the average transaction price. Is something we'll just say is 270, something like that.
Okay. So that seems like a lot of people. I don't know if you have your experience of it, if it's like two incomes buying that kind of house or one income. I mean, I don't know if 55,000 could comfortably do that. You probably need to get a little bit more to get
a little more than that. Yeah. But not much more. I think 65 to 70 could, one of those good jobs there. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Nice single family home off that salary.
Is it fair to say that Kansas City or the KC metro area is there a housing shortage? Would you call it that? Or has it been like that kind of thing I don't know what qualifies as a shortage, but demand has supply, right? Is outranked supply. Yeah. So do we call that a shortage, or what do you think?
I guess it kind of depends where you draw the line at shortage. That's one of those words that implies a problem, crisis. But it's definitely tight inventory. It's been hovering around. So like there's a way you can figure out like the average time on market for the area, and then the number of homes on the market. There's a little bit more to it, but that's basically how you figure months of inventory, is like how quick things are selling versus how much is currently on the market. And our months of inventory has been hovering around not much more than 1 month, and 6 months is considered a balanced market. So,
okay.
And so you go below 6 months, it's a seller's market. If you go above 6 months of inventory, it's a buyer's market. And we're just now like creeping up to like 1.8 months of inventory.
So sellers, still a seller's market.
Still, yes, very much so.
Okay. So this is a question, this isn't financial advice, but is now a good time to sell one's house for top dollar?
Yeah, you may not get the tippy top of the market that was here 6 and 12 months ago, but if you've been in your home, I would say more than 2 years, really 3 or more, you're really sitting pretty. You're still going to get more than what you paid for your house, generally speaking.
Yeah,
unless you have replastered your walls with asbestos.
Who gave him that idea?
Yeah, where did you even get the asbestos?
Bob Vila lost his mind, and he set up a troll YouTube channel. So what you want to do is spray asbestos all over your wall. Like, a lot of people might push back on him, but you don't listen to them. You listen to Bob Vila.
It does have one upside. It's basically fireproof. But
don't do that.
Do not. There's one piece of advice I am not kidding about on this show. Do not bring asbestos into your home.
So I guess if you've been eyeballing the market, trying to think, hey, I'm ready to, I want to get a certain price point out of it. And if you've been looking at it for over a year, 6 months, however long you've been looking at, now would be a good time to call Joe.
Yes.
And talk about listing your house. If that's what you want to, if you want to make money out of it and move on to the next chapter of your life after owning this house, or if you have an investment property or something like that, I think just give Joe a call.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what the situation is. Every house is different, right? You have your own locations, your own situations, upgrades and such. So, but yeah, I mean, as I sit here now, we've been doing this podcast now for a few months, and I'm like, Well, we're Tanya's pregnant and all, so the idea of selling a house. Now I'm trying to think. I think to myself, maybe one life-changing thing at a time.
Yeah, one foot in front of the other, man. Yeah.
Let's maybe because when you sell your house, then you got to buy a new one or rent, and those options that you want to live. And if you're building a family, just my instincts kind of tell me let's keep the house we currently have and update that and keep the family in this location here until we figure out what the next move is.
Yeah,
that's at least how I do it. If you do your things, there's no one way to do anything. It's just
this house is a great fit for you guys.
It definitely is, and we're we feel comfortable here and it's nice. But I will tell you this: when I do eyeball the prices of the square footage in this area, I'm like, ooh, I just want that money though.
Yeah,
why? Forget the kid, man. I just want the money.
That's
good fathering right there. That's good.
Yeah, young Vladimir, your son, one day will be telling a therapist, "Yeah, Dad just took the equity out of the house and ran."
Actually, moved into a studio apartment with all four of us. I think that's illegal. I don't know.
We were actually squatting in a mobile home for a while. Yes.
Yeah. He started living in a battery factory.
Yeah. Well, DeSoto resident now. Then I guess. Yes.
Good schools, great schools.
They are.
Johnson County, baby. Good stuff.
There are portions of Western Shawnee that are actually in the DeSoto school district, and it's a huge selling factor for those homes over there.
I'll tell you this: I've gassed in that Casey's at the DeSoto exit on K10 a number of times. I remember probably driving to visit you and hang out. I get gas there, and I think it was there on a Friday night, probably during the fall, and I see the football stadium lit up, and it looks like it's loud. It sounds like a big game.
Yeah.
And growing up where I grew up, we like sports, watch football as well, and it's a lot of fun. I know it's not Texas level, but it's a big audience. There's 1,000 cars and people going crazy. I'm like, to be a sports like a sports star, like a high school level athlete there, I can see why that is like. Bruce Springsteen singing about glory days, right? That's right. The vibe he was feeling about was that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like a lot of fun. But yeah, schools look great. They look really like a lot of school spirit. People seem to really enjoy it. I've never heard anyone talk bad about the schools in this area, like ever.
No. And DeSoto is one of those areas where a good portion of the schools in the district were built to accommodate new development. So they're new facilities. So towns around the metro with a lot of new growth are going to have new state-of-the-art facilities in them as well.
Gotta love that if you're a homeowner here, if you've been a homeowner here for a long time and it's ready to list. But yeah, they kept the schools tip-top shape. Businesses are coming to Johnson County. Looks like just a really nice area. I mean, I could understand why people are torn sometimes. Like, you know what? I could sell this and make my money, but such a great area too. Like maybe my family will want to grow and stay here,
Well, and one way to look at that is, that means if we stay here, we're not going to lose anything. The value is just going to at worst, speaking, level out, Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, we could always have an economic catastrophe, but I learned this a long time ago, just in general, you just do not bet against home values in Johnson County. Mm-hmm. You just don't.
Even if there is an economic catastrophe, like, well, we got to live somewhere.
Yeah.
I have to live somewhere. Yeah. I prefer that to be in a house that we all enjoy.
Yes.
While we wait out this economic catastrophe, whatever it is, but we'll get through whatever that is, but we got to live and preferably live in an area I'm familiar with and has good schools and community and all that. But yeah, I wouldn't bet against Johnson County's real estate market because it just based on over the last I've lived here only for about 20 years now, or about coming up on 20 years in this area. You grew up here. It just seems like
so I've been here 24.
You've been here 20. Yeah. I'm only 27 years old.
Yeah.
Joe's 30.
Yeah. This is why I didn't want you to. Could you not put that I've been in real estate 20 years on my website?
Well, we need to establish that you're an authority.
It in the end, it is the correct call, but it's just like, oh man, people are going to know I'm middle-aged now. Huh?
Oh, that's such a terrible thing. No, you don't want to. There is as I get older, I do like the kind of feeling of that when you're getting into a business of some kind or like a skill or a trade or any kind of job, that that anxiety that comes along with it that creates such like it creates like a pressure of wanting to do better and get better and grow and get better at your craft. But then you've been doing it long enough, and that's generally speaking, not for everybody. For us, I would say, if generally speaking, you get into like this middle age of comfort. Like, I know what I'm looking for. I'm always trying to keep up with like the latest trends or the latest whatever, and I'm trying to. But I know what I'm looking at. I know how it works, and I know what its value is. And that being at that point, it's a very comforting feeling. I find it. I don't want that anxiety of being mid-20s or late 20s ever to come back. To be honest with you,
no. And I think since I've moved past that, I think it's tougher to be a 20-something now than it was when I was one. But
could be.
But yeah, something that does make it easier is like you and I were both talking off air. Hope I'm not talking out of turn saying something too personal, but we're both working on our fitness. You know,
yeah, we are.
It makes getting older a little easier if at least you're still improving.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you rest on your laurels in any way, honestly, I can't think of a way where resting on your laurels tends to not be a good idea to rest on your laurels. So and taking care of your health, obviously that's it's easy to like get lazy on that when you're 20, when you can like eat whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Where you get to our age, it's like, okay, it's starting to get a little bit hard to bend over here, or I'm not digesting food as well as I used to.
We have both made a little side bet here. The one of us who does better at the NFL Combine next year is gets a steak dinner from the other. So,
wow,
so that's a lofty fitness goal. Us going to the NFL Combine and competing against men in their 20s in peak physical condition.
I think if I ever got to like the combine, where maybe if we're, or even like a KU Division I football practice. Okay. I imagine myself going down there, even though I love KU, I'm supportive, but when it comes to like, in terms of their rankings, in terms of professional, not NCAA football, there's a lot of room to grow, and we're all anxiously waiting, and we're all excited. We like what's going on. We just want to see it happen. However, if you go down there and it's like the best athletes, high school athletes across the country playing for KU, I imagine myself like in a football practice with them and being tackled by one of them, and like, my mind goes to like my shoes still being in place, but I'm like over here. But I don't think it would be that nice. I think my legs would still be in the shoes, but I'd be ripped from my legs, like a big bloody stumps, still walking, and I'm over here like, oh, that one hurt a little bit. Yeah.
If we tried to walk onto the KU football team, the medical community would be writing articles about our injuries. Yes.
We're going to have to study. Our names will be like in those NIH.gov, those health white papers they published to like educate other doctors.
Joe Stevenson tried to walk onto the KU football team. Now has a condition called knee powder. Yes.
Knee powder. So how do you treat that? Like, well, he doesn't have knees anymore.
We're trying to add water and like a quick
mix it up like a cement kind of thing.
But
knee powders. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that? Even though like or even Division II, for crying out loud. These are like peak physical dudes from age like 18 to 22, been playing football since they were like 10 years old. And the idea that I always remind myself of that, if you're ever like find yourself complaining about your favorite football program, like college football, and like, God, I can't do anything, but I am not saying that I could do any better. No, if I got out there and I got hit by one of these guys, I would die. It would be the end of me. So, but yeah, I could never get over. I even follow them on Facebook. Like it shows like their morning workouts through the summer. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. They run up the hill like 20, shows them videotaping them running up the hill 20 times. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But we're changing. The economic landscape is changing. Everything changes.
In that, and we want to ideally change for the better. It seems like we're going in that direction, which brings me to this next topic: smart home upgrades. We're talking about EV batteries. Electrical vehicle batteries. There's a lot of smart home features, and putting an EV charger in one's home is a popular thing I've noticed, at least by search engine standards, because I do a lot of SEO research, keyword research, and I've realized that adding EVs, and especially in the last 6 months, I feel like gas prices probably has something to do with that. That's where my instinct goes. There's been like a normal trend, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I swear to you, based on keyword research and interest in home chargers for EVs, it was just kind of going up steadily. And then the last 6 months, it just spiked.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking gas might have drove that interest a little bit.
It could have. There's a ton of factors there. But I've seen, chargers in general, even if you don't have a full-on electric vehicle, they have plug-in hybrids now that you can use a home charger for. The whole industry is shifting to electric. Large companies like Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, they've all said, they've all said different years, but over the next 10 years, the bulk of their manufacturing is going to be electric vehicles. That's just the way it's going. And so, again, for our area to have a piece of the action with a battery plant, it's speaking to smart homes, quite a bit in our homes is electrified, but I think much like our automobiles, our homes are yet going to be even more electrified because one, we have more electronic devices with smart home features and things like that. But I think eventually we're going to move away from gas cooktops and gas water heaters as well. I think those are going the way of electric and
wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a statement there. Yeah. I don't know what the market share is for gas versus electric now. I do know, didn't California pass a thing that says they want to get away from gas and focus on electric, or is it vice versa? I think it's any new building can't have that. I'll have to look that up.
I think California is going to push it a lot because it's just a move away from fossil fuels. As clean as natural gas burns in our homes, it is still burning a hydrocarbon fuel that does produce carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
And so I think it is, California. I don't know the wording of the regulation, but
this is just a headline. I probably even got it completely wrong. Speaking of, this is kind of it's not meant to be political, but it gets that way. But did you see that thing that Biden did? He was talking about, I only know this because Elon Musk was being interviewed about this, where they went to like this electronic EV kind of thing where Biden spoke to them and he didn't mention Tesla one time.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah.
That is funny and that's probably deliberate. Yes.
Yeah. It's deliberate. Like that's also that's not fair. Because Tesla's kind of, they've been the kind of the EV brand that gets people excited and the marketing. My son loves Teslas. Yeah. And if you're a member of any political party, goes there and talks about this great EV growth and this great land of like now people like EVs, and you don't mention Tesla, that seems unfair to me. Like you got, I know he was speaking like at a Ford, or it was like if it's like General Motors thing, maybe it's like okay, I don't want to mention a competitor brand.
Well, but that could have factored in.
That could have been it, or I had to look into where he was at. It could have been a like altogether thing that, but I know it. Elon Musk mentioned it and it rubbed him the wrong way. Yeah. It's like, how can you go to this big thing about electric vehicles and not even bring up the concept of Tesla? Yeah. Which I think is a fair pushback.
No. And credit where credit is due. Yeah. A lot of our electrification of vehicles, people know what a Tesla is. That was a company, 10 years ago, maybe a little more than that, Elon Musk basically electrified a sports car called the Lotus Elise and sold it as his vehicle. And now they're a full on manufacturer with 3 or 4 different models, the Type S, the Type X, the Model 3. If I'm forgetting one, apologies to Mr. Musk. But come on our podcast.
Yeah. Why don't you get him? We should get him on. That'd be a good get. Pencil him in before Bill Gates. But
that's right.
Well, okay, he did it. I mean, if you think about it, like I remember Tom Hanks being on like, was it Letterman or Leno? And he was talking about his electric car back in was it mid-90s or whatever? And remember that movie, Who Killed the Electric Car? Yeah. It's like a whole thing of it went up, people tried it, it collapsed for whatever reason. And there was a combination of if it's a manufacturing or the market doesn't want it yet, or the market's not interested yet. But somehow, some way, Tesla it seems like it's not only does it have to be a functional car that gets you there, it has to be cool, has to be interesting, has to be fun, different. And if you're asking like me 10 years ago, 15 15 years ago, how do you make a cool car? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I honestly, I know you like cars more than I do. Like, you are a car aficionado as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how you make a cool car, electric car cool. And then I see like my friend bought a Tesla and you get into it and how like all the features it has, all the funny things it can do. It's almost like sometimes the features that he has in there reminds me of Homer's car he designed. Like
Powell Motors. Yes.
And just like, he's comes all these crazy childlike ideas. And I swear to God, Elon Musk had to have that episode of The Simpsons in his brain. Like, I wanted to do this. I wanted to make fart noises. I wanted to like play video
fart noises.
It makes fart noises. Yeah. I wanted to play video games in there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he pretty much did that episode as Homer Simpson in that episode. Yeah, but he makes it cool. I mean, my son, he's 5 years old. He loves Teslas. He plays Roblox and he plays Minecraft. That's where he sees them.
Yeah.
He also likes Bugattis, and he basically, if it's really expensive, he tends to like it. I don't know what's the deal with that. But he just like something that's more expensive. I guess it's built into his video games. The harder you work at getting points, the more you unlock cool things and more features. And I guess it's in some way baking it into the cake of the more you work, the more money you make, the more cooler stuff you get to have. Is that how we're doing it? Is that how we're selling capitalism here?
That's it's planting the seeds of ambition in your son. Be like, yeah, we grew up in a nice place, but my dad never had a Bugatti.
Come on,
like,
that's a little bit lofty of a goal. I'm not a Bugatti person.
Well, your son's gonna have like a garage full of cars and he'll be like, yeah, that's my Tuesday Bugatti.
I like the idea of me like taking out like a cash out refi in my house and using that to buy a Bugatti and I park it outside my house in this neighborhood because you have like all this like very middle class family stuff, like very basic brands, but there's a Bugatti there. Like that doesn't fit in the situation we have here.
I'm sure you've got a lot of equity in your home, but I'm not sure you could buy much more than a Bugatti tire because the tires alone are like 30 grand on that car.
Jeez, no, I think I can afford a few tires.
Okay,
with the equity, assuming they don't do the 80% rule on my cash out. Do they do 100% rule? I guess I need a VA cash out if I want to do that, which I was not in the military. Cannot do that.
Go enlist.
If I go enlist right now, I get the VA loans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sustainability is a big one for this generation. Gen Z loves sustainability. So making your house more sustainable, EV chargers for your home, making your thermostat like a smart electric upgrade for your thermostat is good. Basically running your house, I guess, from your mobile device. Like that seems like to be the big thing too.
Yeah. You can turn your sprinklers on and off, open your garage, lock your front door, open and close your shades, turn lights on and off.
Basically the Epcot Center ride.
Yeah. Yes.
On our phones.
Yeah.
The house of tomorrow. It's on my phone next to my social media where people call me an asshole. There was not that set in Epcot. That was not there.
Of course, at Epcot, when were those rides built? The 60s or 70s? If, everything would have been automated, but the idea of doing it from your phone, like people would have been like, what does that mean? Like I turn the dial to 8 and my lights come on,
I remember Bill Gates doing an interview about where he was doing a thing about iPods. I remember this is like what, 2003 or 4. I remember this. They were asking him about the iPod and he goes, I prefer the Zune because that's Microsoft's version of it. And they're like, well, but everyone's talking about the iPod, putting all the music in there, easy to use, forget CDs. Now we're listening to MP3s this way. And I remember him saying, I still think like the future of this, of putting that, I'm more interested in, how we can put that into our phones. Mm. And at the time I was still using a Nokia brick. And I was like, well, my first instinct was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And this is why I'm not a tech entrepreneur.
Right.
I don't have that kind of vision. As you see the landscape there, but he was probably just commenting on something that was so obvious to any VC tech person in the time. Like, what are you talking about? Everyone's moving to phones now. It's just who can do it the best, the fastest, and more reliably. And then a few years later, the iPhone comes out. And I remember I actually had a BlackBerry for a little while too. I like the BlackBerry. Can't really look at the internet on it, but it was easy to type and send texts on it.
The BlackBerry, I think that's what I think of as one of the first smartphones. Yeah. And I heard about them like in a politics class at KU. Like, Yeah, all of Congress uses Blackberries to stay in touch.
Well, they're easy to write emails from,
Yeah.
but with like texting, and you can write an email. You could write an email very easily from your BlackBerry. Even to this day, I don't like writing messages very much on my iPhone. I do it.
Yeah.
It's gotten better, but my spelling is off. Whereas typing on the BlackBerry was so perfect. It felt really good. Wish they could bring that back.
But that everything kind of being on your phone has gotten us used to devices that are connected, and how many homes now have an Alexa or in them, where people can just like stand in their kitchen and be like, Alexa, give me a recipe for chicken and rice, and it'll give you one, and and you can be like, now what's the relative humidity of Scottsdale, and it'll tell you that the same device,
I usually smart homes. I like how the new homes in your development or the Whitecurt developments, they're set up for smart home features.
Yeah.
Sounds like if you want to buy a house, you have to like specify that you want smart home stuff in it, or if you move in and you want to upgrade your home, the wiring is already there. You can do it.
That's the big thing. Yeah. Making sure we've wired with data lines properly, because those are harder to put in after the fact. When a builder builds a home, they don't necessarily put a ton of smart features in it because it's still something people kind of tailor to their own needs. A buyer over 40 wouldn't really care if they have to open and close their own shades,
exactly. Yeah. It's a personal, it's a choice, but I guess it's that infrastructure. Like, can we do it if we want to? And the answer is we need to have the wires in there to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something the builders started doing around the early 2000s. I almost said turn of the century, but that just sounds like I'm talking about something so archaic, but about that time, builders started putting in different data lines, Cat 5 and Cat 6 lines. Some builders will just run a PVC pipe from the basement to the attic just in the middle of the home. So if you ever need to fish wires through the house, it's a lot easier now. They call it a wire chase. It's a few $100. I'd put one in my house, even if I don't have anything to put in it at day one. I would.
I put a wire in my house. AT&T's Google Fiber, or the fiber optic, the fiber cable for my internet. Yeah, 1,000. It's a gig. It's the fastest internet I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is right or wrong. I think it is. I think Google Fiber and AT&T partnered up. I looked this up. It was like they did the thing together because this is curiosity. I don't know the right word. They seems like they partnered. Go check it out. Google it yourself. I looked it up. Seems like they're working together. And I have that high speed internet at my house now. It's like 300 megabit upload, 500 megabit download, and it's remarkable. So I'd wonder so my house is wired up like that. Now on smart home features, I would have to probably add that. But yeah, it's just, if it's sustainable, the idea of I do like the idea of not having my air conditioning being on while I'm not using it.
Right.
If we take a 2-week vacation and, or if you have maybe a pet cat and maybe you want to keep them, I don't know, however you want to cool up heat up your house. But those are nice features to have on your mobile device.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're on a vacation, you obviously don't want your thermostat set at a level where, the house is empty. There makes no sense, but it'd be nice, you're hopping on the plane to come back home. You open up your phone and turn the AC back on. So it is cool when you get back there,
I like those commercials where they get off the plane and they turn on their car while they're landing. So it heats up in the driving way in the airport. Hopefully I'm just glad the plane doesn't crash because we're told not to do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The plane crashes. It was Bill in the third row. He said his car would have been too hot when he got home. Sorry you lost your family in that crash.
Joe and we talked about earlier about we're losing weight, and I'm down 20 pounds. I'm still pretty heavy, the heaviest I've ever been in my life, but I'm down 20 pounds and we're getting better. I always have this fear of one time I was flying from Wichita to Denver, and it was like a turboprop.
Oh yeah.
It was smaller, right? But still I think Frontier Airlines is running it. And it was the first time I ever whenever like you're on there and the pilot says like, okay, we have a weight distribution issue. So if people can get up here, and they say like, if 3 people can go from one side of the plane to the other, in my mindset, if I was down there, they'd be like, or the guy sitting in F10.
Yeah.
And everyone just looks at me slowly like, fine, I'll get on the other side.
When he's walking on the plane, one of the flight crew just slaps a sticker on him that says ballast. Just so they know, the other crew members know, this guy's the ballast. He's going to just move around.
What does that mean?
Ballast?
Yeah, what's ballast?
It is it's basically moving weight around to balance a vehicle. They use ballast in ships and airplanes.
Ballast?
Yes.
Wow. That's a reference.
Big cargo ships have ballast tanks where they will take in seawater. Or there's like a really heavy guy on most crew. No, it's a.
What do you think our listeners are? What do they do for a living? Do you think they would know that reference?
Well, if they didn't, they just learned something.
We just did.
Yeah. I watch Formula One racing, and they build their cars under the weight limits of the regulation, and they bring it up to weight with ballast. Oh. And they can make the cars handle different ways by moving weight forward or backward or side to side. But basically, they just try and keep it as low and close to the center as possible.
What's that Peter Griffin thing? I learned something.
I learned something today. Yes.
Yeah. So whenever I think about like, customers of size, I don't know if they're still using that term or not, but I think I'm customer of size right now. I need to get my stuff in gear.
I refer to myself as a man of ample carriage.
That's nice. Man of ample. That's 5 syllables. Yeah, fits.
Well, and I stole it from The Simpsons when Homer decided to gain a lot of weight to get out of work. Mm-hmm. And he goes to the movies. The guy at the movies like, sir, we don't have seats that accommodate a gentleman of your carriage.
So upgrades to homes, EV chargers.
Yes.
Going to grow. Only going to grow. Sustainable. Smart thermostats. Let's see what else is there.
Smart lighting.
Oh, that's a good one. From your phone, stuff like that. Mood lighting.
Yeah, and if you want to take it this far, like I mentioned before, shades. As the sun moves across the sky, maybe you want to set a timer on your shades to close the ones on the south side of the house in the middle of the day or something.
Oh, I got one for solar panels.
Solar panels. Yep.
Are those still things?
They are, and they are gaining ground. Some people will install them and attach them to their car chargers to get as much off-grid energy into their cars as possible. Solar panels still aren't quite efficient enough to, I think, fully charge a car overnight, but it's a little bit that helps. And to that point, solar panels can actually make if they're pulling in enough energy and your house isn't using it, it basically goes back out to the grid and makes your electric meter run backwards.
They pay you.
They pay you. They pay
you for that sweet electricity.
Yeah. Yep. One more point I want to make before I forget. We were talking about electric chargers for vehicles. Sometimes you do need to have a separate service line brought in because sometimes they do draw a lot of current, especially the ones that charge faster. So you may need a whole separate meter for that. In fact, I've heard it is advantageous to do that because if you put your electric charger on your same meter, electric companies basically bill you sometimes with turns out to be a reverse bulk rate, which means if you go over a certain amount of kilowatts, they will charge you more per kilowatt hour to kind of penalize you for using too much electricity. And sometimes these EV chargers can go over that. And so if they're on a separate meter, they're not driving that meter up as high. So
you should probably have a professional take care of all that.
You should.
I think so. Yes. I think we should. Don't do this yourself.
Putting in a electric meter is not a DIY project. No, not at all.
No. This is a very dangerous thing. Licensed. Find someone licensed who knows what they're doing.
In fact, I recently had a little bit of experience with this. Kind of sort of related. In new homes construction, you want your breaker box in your house as close to your electric meter as possible. And the electric company is very restrictive on where the meter can go in. You basically cannot run a line diagonally across your property to put an electric meter wherever you want. So say you wanted your breaker box in your garage, but the garage is on the opposite side of where the main service comes in. you just wouldn't be able to do it. And so we had a home being built where the service line was coming into the house where the electrical panel would have had to have been in a bedroom, and the homeowner didn't want that. So just to put the panel in another part of the house, basically run a line up through the attic and put the panel in the laundry room. The initial quote from the electrician was $1,000 because it's the big heavy main service line, and you got to know what you're doing to move it around.
Yeah, we don't skimp on it. We don't do it this cheap. We do this properly.
Yeah. And so it's a big deal to put in a panel and a meter. Is my point with that whole story.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this is not DIY. So make sure you hire a licensed electrician for that one. But yeah, okay, sustainable electric lighting. Probably even upgrading your breaker box too. We're talking about breaker boxes. That's a thing, right?
Yes, especially if you're in an older home, older style breakers. If you're buying an older home, most home inspectors will know what breakers aren't used anymore. I was in a home one time on an inspection, and the inspector opens the breaker panel, and he has like a thermal imaging reader, and he goes, "All right, if you notice there, those breakers are 40 degrees hotter than the ambient air temperature. Nobody uses these anymore. They're basically outlawed." And so, modern breakers are a thing. Even the system of breakers over fuses is considered a modern improvement. But even since we've gone from widespread use of fuses to breakers, there are modern breakers that are better than others to use.
Yeah. Yeah, these are, things just by getting in the homes business.
And also, I know all that about breakers and service lines. Even as much as I know not to touch it.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you see bare copper, don't lick it.
Only you can prevent forest fires, or I can see like being like a Smokey the Bear kind of thing, but don't lick copper wires.
Yeah.
Seems obvious, but you'd be surprised.
It does. Yeah. But no, I mean, there are low voltage things like you can shut off a breaker to a room, and a handyman or a handy homeowner can like put in a ceiling fan. Yes. I would say though, if you're touching wires, don't do it alone, because if something goes wrong and you do get an electric shock, you want somebody else there, because this is getting a little into the weeds, but when you are getting an electric shock, your muscles contract, and it's a weird deal where your muscles could contract and your hand would close up around whatever's shocking you. And you would need literally somebody to knock you off of that with a wooden broom handle. It's
like that scene from Home Alone 2 or Home Alone 1 where Marv turns into a skeleton.
Yes, that can happen. Don't be Marv. Yeah.
The sticky bandits, Marv.
The sticky bandits, yeah.
I've seen this. Look, I've seen the medical videos where Marv did that. He got electrocuted. It was really hilarious.
Yeah.
He turns into a skeleton for a second. Then a puff of smoke comes up. He goes back. His hair is all fried.
He was fine.
He was fine. Yeah. He even had that little imprint of the iron on his face. Yes. That hit him right in the face. Stepped on a nail. That looked like that hurt really bad.
That was Daniel Stern who played him, right?
Daniel Stern, yeah. That was him, yeah.
He was in other movies after that, so he's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, this really happened. It really happened too, yeah.
Oh, there was no stuntman there. There's no special effects.
John Hughes, not a filmmaker. He was just a sadistic person who filmed people harming themselves.
Macaulay Culkin needed therapy. He's like, this isn't me. I don't hurt people. Why am I throwing paint cans at Joe Pesci's head?
Well, Joe Pesci, I couldn't get over like how just his ego, like ever since I saw that house, I wanted it. Like, dude, move on.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people not home. Go rob another house. There's a kid in there. You don't want this on your record. You're just robbing houses. Now a kid's life is in danger. There's a whole other rap sheet you got to deal with. Just move on to the next house, my dude.
Yeah. By the way, as a real estate agent, I think I've mentioned this before, but seeing that movie now and seeing that house in that movie, I'm like, damn, that's a nice house.
Yeah.
I could list that. Dual staircases. I think it's 3 stories. And then there's like a part where I'm like, oh, that's kind of a small kitchen. And is that a detached garage on that? Oh, no, maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah. But was it Chicago suburbs?
Chicago suburbs. Yeah.
Next to the John Candy's polka band from Sheboygan. No, he was popular in Sheboygan. They're out of Wisconsin, somewhere in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember
Polka
Catherine
Kings?
O'Hara
Yeah.
riding home with them.
Isn't it funny? Like she got home and then 10 minutes later, the rest of the family gets home.
Yeah,
And
just
it's
like in real life.
Just take the flight. I think
Yeah.
at that point you save 10 minutes
Yeah.
so you can like have that nice moment alone with Kevin. And then
Yeah.
they have a nice kind of reconciliation. And then the family comes in. Yeah, we got the flight you didn't want to hit. So we stayed around. You got here 10 minutes ago? Like you should have just flew home.
What was the deal? Like the whole extended family was going to Paris for Christmas. Like, did your whole extended family ever go to Europe for Christmas?
No. In fact, that's the last thing. You go home and you stay home for Christmas.
Yeah.
You don't go to like a family vacation. If you do, you go to like Key West or a beach thing. You don't go to another cold climate area.
Yeah, or where another member of the family lives. It's like, well, we're all going to Arkansas.
I could see my family, like let's say we got bored one year, like we've been doing this every year and we're all grown up now. Like I can see us going to maybe Colorado, go skiing for a Christmas getaway, like a Breckenridge or Keystone kind of thing. I can see that happening, but it's driving distance from where we live.
If I remember correctly, it took 2 airport shuttles for them to get, that was a big crew they were taking, So.
We should break down like popular movie homes moving forward in one of these episodes. But yeah, I could go on and on about just robbing that house. I took the long way around that. After the first booby trap, I would have been out. Like, I'm not even robbing this. There's a kid in there. I'm out. I assume a parent is here if there's a kid running around. And Marv even said that. He goes, if the kid's there, this parent's got to be there. That would be my instinct. But Joe's like, he's home alone. He said the name of the film, which is a big moment for any actor, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's like clear and present danger. Like, they said the line in the movie, the name of the movie in there. And like, I would have been out. Like if I saw a kid like shouting for his dad while he's decorating the tree, I'm like, okay, we're robbing a different house. This is so stupid.
That's enough recon right there.
And how much money could he possibly have gotten out of that?
Yeah.
Stealing jewelry, like make a couple of $1,000 and move on.
Well, Kevin's dad was a drug trafficker. There's a lot of cash in that house.
Now I want to see that movie. His drug trafficking. He was Walter White in the 90s.
They're breaking open appliances and finding bundles of cash. Like,
oh my God.
I told you.
He wanted to rob that house. There couldn't have been that much money in there to really justify putting a kid's life in danger. I know. Good movie though. Good movie. Love that movie.
Well, but it is one of the movies I see broken down the most by experts online. Like Legal Eagle did all the laws broken. And then like a week ago, I was watching a trauma surgeon break down all of the robber's injuries, and that's a spinal crush injury. The movie should have kind of ended right there.
That's he's not walking after that one.
Yeah. No, the amount of head trauma.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know how he should not be walking right now. I like when they break down like Rocky's defense, his boxing defense. Like, remember that you ever watched that? Watch the ESPN 30 for 30 where they break down Rocky 4. And one guy's like, great fanfare, but defensively, the worst boxing I've ever seen. The guy landed 98% of his power throws. And you watch Rocky enough times, like, there's no defense at all here. He's just letting him punch him in the face. 30 for 30. Yeah,
but that will be a fun topic. Maybe break down movie houses and like,
that's a good idea.
That's not right.
All right. Joe, good episode.
Good news for our friends in DeSoto and the KC Metro and
the surrounding areas, right?
Yes.
We're very excited to see how this plays out. We're going to keep our tabs on this as it develops. Yes. We're going to keep tabs on that. I didn't even get into like just kind of the manufacturing thing as well. We here in Lawrence, they had pretzels factory get brought in as well.
Yeah.
And remember I should have gotten into this earlier, but real quick, I like how they kind of pushed out the Tyson's chicken thing because they didn't want this place to smell like chicken, I guess. And they replaced it with a pretzels thing. Like, ooh, pretzels, we can do that.
Yeah, now it smells like a food court at the mall.
So we'll get into that. We'll be following this as home prices, they expand, they contract, expand, grow, and we're keeping our eyes on this stuff. So thank you for listening. Anything you want to say to the kind listeners before we get out of here?
Happy house hunting. And we'll, in the meantime, subscribe.
Share, subscribe. Joe the Realtor, that's you, Joe Stevenson.
If you liked it, tell a friend. If you didn't like it, tell somebody you hate.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.